What's wrong, Traveler? Are you still having trouble figuring?
I see how it is.
Look, since we're at a dead end, why not consider a just like the trick as it transpired, the end result must have been utter-
If only we knew how Halsey does. Well, that would be nice, but the tunnel only has 3 exits, and none of them. And it's not like this is a magic trick where you can just make a real live person disappear. You know, like you did from that water tank, Lynette.
Excuse my interruption, dear opponents, but do you not see...
If the defense is unable to make further effective arguments, we will move on to the next stage of the trial.
Linny was not in the tunnel at that moment, which gave our criminal ample time. The sound we heard may have come from a clash between the missing... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. No one entered or left the Opera House through its entrance. Halsey's clothing was in the tunnel, so there must have been some fear that she would attract... It would have been tough for both people to fit into that vent. They would likely have bumped into Lynn. The vase was not broken by chance. It was you...
Oh, Paimon gets it! It all comes together if Halsey disappeared instead of being kidnapped. Lynette escaped from the water tank, vanishing gradually and leaving all... If there's a similar...
Oh, just a moment, please. How could a person ever be transformed into water? This is reality we're talking about. Must we really? Magic tricks are ultimately just illusions and...
Even so, the truth must be out there somewhere. Perhaps some new line of reasoning may open if we... Since Cal was the deceased, we haven't placed much attention on him. But given that we aren't making much progress with the case, it wouldn't hurt...
People really do come up with all sorts of harebrained schemes when at the end of their rope. The way I see it.
Nevertheless, I believe that this is a reasonable request on the part of an attorney. Since the trial does indeed appear to be at an impasse, guards, please step into the lounge and examine the personally...
We are still examining the items, but we have already made critical progress that we feel must be shared with everyone post-haste. We discovered several test tubes of fluid within Cowell's baggage, each labeled except the notebook in his backpack claims that these fluids are... water from the primordial sea. The note's contents also indicate that Cowell belonged to an organization that sells illegal drugs and that he had an accomplice. The notebook has many entries concerning safe usage of these fluids, in which the keyword dissolve appears many times. One of these tubes was labeled Opera Epiclese, along with yesterday's date. It is empty. The notes also state that these dissolution properties work exclusively on people from Fontaine. It's likely, as such, we believe that the defense's hypothesis is...
You've got to be kidding! People dissolving...
Could something so ridiculous actually be...
Wait a moment. This reminds me of a certain prophecy.
Huh. If people can become water, does that mean that the water tank's real use was as a means to hide water stains? And if Cowell was targeting that girl... Wait just a minute. Could that mean...
Demoiselle, wait! What about your part?
Let's go. Just...
Order! Order! It is undeniable that further Still, let us assume that these clues are indeed authentic, albeit with the understanding that Ms. Halsey has yet to be found. Guards, please continue examining the items along these lines. Mr. Linney, it appears your hypothesis is support...
Of course. If we uphold this hypothesis, I believe that many of this case's seemingly unrelated clues...
Right! Like the metal hook! That one didn't make... Let's think about this. Cowell's methods must have something to do with that water from the primordial...
The rope that held the water tank up was lit by the fireworks and snapped. As such, the focus... The deceased's name is Cowell, Linny's assistant. Now it seems like the hook rope was not meant for another magic trick, but was in... The water from the primordial sea. Lynette was in the magic box on stage the entire time. I remember there was something else within the inner layer of the... The deceased's name is Cowell.
It's Ace Detective Paimons in the original plan. Cowell would tamper with the water tank rope, and the number selector securing his tongue. When the magic box containing Halsey was lowered, the metal hook would retract gradually and pierce the balloon at the top of the box. When the balloon attached to the box popped, the water from the primordial seed inside it would pour down, and afterward, Cowell would enter the tunnel and break the flower vase to conceal the water inside the tunnel, with the remaining evidence being but he encountered something unexpected in the tunnel, and wound up being fatally hit by the same water tank he meant to...
Huh. That does make sense.
That actually links together a lot of the more
Oh dear, what do I do? Even I think they sound convincing now.
Now, it seems like the only point of contention remaining is the exact circumstances that led to Cal's death. His notes mentioned he had an accomplice who could be related to the situation.
On that note, the guards have just contacted me indicating that I shall now invite him on stage to share it with us.
Thank you, Your Honor. We were just inspecting the luggage of the other, and we found an identical sample of the water from the primordial sea among Linny's personal effects.
What?
That can't be. Oh, I see. Does this not clear all my dear citizens, my loyal audience? Linny did not need to take part in the dissolution of the young woman at all. Indeed, he did leave, having made modifications to the props beforehand. His accomplice Cowell, but upon his return, in cruel avarice, ultimately, he knocked Cowell out, and the tool meant to cover the crime. Now, as much as I regret having come to such a viciously straightforward conclusion, it does... Am I right, Mr. Linny?
We've used up all the evidence we collected. Is this the end of the rope?
Oh no! Paimon can't think of anything either. Seems using the water as new evidence was too good a move.
I think we've all seen enough now, and I believe this is indeed... Now then, my good, noble Chief Justice.
Excuse me, everyone, but
Miss, I must ask you not to...
Oh, come on. Don't be hasty. I have a good reason for interrupting, you know. Now, would anyone here... I'll show you an amazing trick. One that can bring a young woman who has disappeared back in... What in the...
No offense, miss, but miracles like that are beyond my...
Come on now, don't be silly. Magic is all about misdirection, isn't it? It often conceals the truth while presenting a but once everyone believes the illusion, can't magic reveal the truth to them once again? And wouldn't such a trick be the most marvelous finale to today's performance? Come on, Linny and Lynette, give it another go. Don't but, as the magic makers and stars of the show, I think I should leave the final...
I understand.
And voila.
Sorry for the interruption.
Wait, isn't that Halsey? So...
To be clear, I'm only here because this person told me that if I testified, the merit of doing so would lessen my... I was hiding outside this room listening to the proceedings because I was afraid that I would be the one put on trial. I was just feeling happy that no one had noticed me. And then, before I knew it, she caught me.
That'll teach you to underestimate others.
Where should I begin? I'm sorry. I'm the one who killed Cal.
What? Why?
Firstly, my name isn't Halsey. It's Lillian, and I'm originally from Mondstadt. I heard that Linny's show was gonna be a real thriller, but I missed the chance to buy a ticket, so I stole one. That's how I make a living. I steal stuff here and there. But I was noticed at the harbor a few days ago, and I barely got away. Lenny was the one who caught me in the act.
Hey, no wonder you look familiar. So you were the thief! Liddy even mentioned that you were pretty skilled.
Well, and I thought that would have been the end of it, but then the number selector chose me. He even mentioned the Fortress of Meripede. That's a prison, isn't it? So you can imagine how shocked I was. I thought he was onto me, so I played along with the show while looking for an opening to flee. But then I got water poured on me for no reason, and then someone jumped into the tunnel to nab me. I wasn't going to take that lying down, so I knocked him out and stuffed him into the box. There was nowhere to run from there, though, so I had to change my clothes and hide in a box containing performance costumes. I slipped out after the first guard arrived at the scene and continued hiding inside the opera house.
Can a person even hide in there?
But I swear, I didn't know that the water tank would fall down. Had I known that, I wouldn't have put him in the magic box. I may be a thief, but I'm no killer.
Well, that makes everything pretty clear now, doesn't it?
This time, we need to tell the entire story. See? The strange sound wasn't from a fight. It was See? The flower vase was not broken to cover anything up, but was... Lillian was afraid that she would be recognized if she left, so she changed clothes.
And it's instant! Having been selected out of the blue, Lillian panicked. Her panic only intensified after she entered the tunnel and had water poured on her head. So she kicked the door open, producing the thud we all heard. Hearing the commotion, Cowell leapt into the tunnel, only to discover that Lillian had not dissolved. He did not know that Lillian was not from Fontaine, but was a thief who made her, mistakenly believing that the water from the primordial sea needed time to take effect. The two broke the flower vase during the struggle, but Lillian came out on top. With no way of escaping, she changed her clothes and hid in the costume trunk until the performance ended.